I keep wanting to go back to that time when I didn't have to worry about the slightest thing, that I can leave home without carrying a snack. Anyway, the funny thing is, I'm not sure whether I took it to the back of my mind and I can't remember. I just know life was just good. I didn't have to keep worrying when my sugars go low. Will I have to look for a soda? But I feel like I would give anything to go back to just living a single day. Just one day, to just not being able to worry about what I'm going to eat for lunch, or I have to inject myself. I'm used to injecting myself, not to say that I'm not used. I know there are many people who are still not used, but for me, I'm used. But the fact that I have to worry about my sugars going low, yeah, it's not very interesting. I miss that time when life was just carefree. I can say now it was. People don't take it. They feel it's normal, but I think you need to enjoy your life in a positive way. Yeah, making sure you make out of it, as in you create good memories and live life to glorify God in good ways, not eating the wrong kinds of foods, not hanging out in wrong company, but just counting your moments, because you never know. Okay, so I remember when we came from school, my mom picked me from school. I was in a boarding school. I was in Pangani Girls. So when we reached home, I was very thirsty and very hungry and very tired, just lethargic. I was sick. So she just brought me tea and some food. And then at night, I kept going to the loo the whole night, more than 5 times. So in the morning, she was like, no, we just have to go to the doctor. So we went to a nearby clinic nearby. It was a Mary Stopes clinic. And after my mom explained the symptoms and the doctor also asked me, I told him, yeah, I just feel tired. I drink a lot of water, and after drinking water, I go to the loo. I feel hungry, and yet I eat a lot of food. He was like, hey, okay, let's just measure you. So he pricked my finger, and the sugars, of course, were very high. And then he told me, hey, mom, Sylvia, I'm sorry, but your pancreas have refused. You have something called diabetes. He didn't explain whether it's type 1 or type 2, but he told me we need to transfer you. We need to refer you to a specialist. So I was referred to a specialist. So that whole day, immediately after the diagnosis, we went, saw the specialist. The specialist, of course, confirmed with a few tests. So that was clear, I'm a type 1 diabetic, and there's something called DKA, diabetic ketoacidosis, where the blood is acidic with all those sugars, because there's no insulin to convert the sugar into energy for it to get into the cells. So the body becomes acidic and starts attacking itself. So I hadn't reached that point, but I was heading there with the lethargicness, with the nausea and fevers and all that. So I had to be admitted. So from diagnosis, seeing the specialist, I had to be admitted for now proper management and now to just stabilize the sugars. So I was admitted for 3 days in the hospital. They give you psychoeducation. That time it wasn't so much. You just given papers, you read what diabetes is, and from now on, yeah, you'll be injecting yourself and all that. Yeah, so after 3 days, I went back home. No, I didn't, because at first it was really not exciting, but this is such a new thing. I want everybody to know about diabetes. People used to talk about HIV, they used to talk about epilepsy, they used to talk about many other diseases and not diabetes. So I used to feel like, okay, people don't know about this disease. I need to tell them. They need to see a face that there's diabetes in children. And then even that time, people just used to know about type 2. So you tell people I'm diabetic, they're like, hey, umetoa wapi diabetes? Na vile hata uko mdogo. Yeah, so of course saying those hurtful words here and there, with time I realized, okay, again, you don't have to tell everyone. But no, I've never felt being ashamed or being fearful, but there's a lot of stigma in the society concerning diabetes. So not many people know about it, not many people want to disclose, but for me, I've decided, part of my advocacy and awareness is to disclose or just share my experiences and in my life. Yeah, so for any condition, it of course brings financial toll on the family, and it's diabetes is no exception. And of course, they say diabetes is an expensive disease, a disease for the rich, but they're very poor people who are controlling and managing diabetes, and it's so difficult, so hard for them. And even in this third world country, majority of us, I mean, so long as we have insulin, we feel that's enough. But you see, there are very many other diabetic supplies that you need. You can't manage your sugars if you're not able to measure, to prick yourself and measure. As in, so many people don't have glucometers, or even if you're given the glucometer, like some people donate them. You see, it's like just giving me, let's say, food, and you're not giving me fire or sulfurias. Yeah, something like that. So we don't want free glucometers. It's better you tell us. We can even buy for ourselves like glucometers and subsidize the strips, because the strips, you see, in a day for me, to measure my to be able to know how my sugars are throughout the day, I need to measure not less than 3 times a day. And a pack of 50 of those strips is around 2,000 shillings. So 50 divided by 4. That's, so that one, for 2,000 shillings, it will only take me less than 2 weeks. That's 2,000 shillings. For insulin, one of the insulins is around 3,000 shillings. The other one around 3,000 shillings. So that's around 6,000 plus this other 4,000. That's so I don't spend less than 10,000 for me to have good control of my diabetes on medication alone. And this is every day for the rest of my life. As in, there's no break. There's no saying that today you have no money or I have no money. I will not get medication, because if I don't get medication, I die. I mean, it's that I inject and die. And of course, injecting yourself 4 times a day, anybody, it will just give you emotional drain. I mean, you will be drained emotionally. So yeah, so I've been drained. There are many times I've needed to rejuvenate by just, okay, what I do is I take a walk. I listen to a lot of worship songs. The Bible, of course, is my greatest energizer. When my favorite psalm or verse is Psalms 23. In fact, my children are all named or come from that book. So when I remember that even when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, which probably I walk every day or every month, it depends. There are instances that come and it hits you very hard that you're diabetic. That's why things are happening like this, or that's why you're feeling like that. So that those times when those reminders come, that's when you need some comfort. Otherwise, you can really, so many diabetics battle depression, but it's emotionally draining. For me, I wouldn't call them temptations. It's just the urge and the desire. These are foods. I mean, you're told, the nutritionist gives you a list that these are the types of foods you should avoid, like a plague, and these are the ones you should eat. But as one learns how to manage themselves with the kind of medication, you get to learn that actually you're able to eat everything. It's just the portions and the frequency. So for me, I eat everything. Not to say that I eat a big plate of chips, no. Like even when I miss chips, I will buy or make at home and just eat a few pieces, like 4 or 5 pieces. And of course eat with a lot of vegetables at the side. And when I talk of vegetables, I know when I was growing up or initially during the diagnosis, vegetables in my head, I was like, oh, my spinach and sukuma and then just those green things. But you can be creative. Like for me, I love okra, mabenda, now biringanyas. All those are vegetables. There's this cauliflower, there's just make it interesting for yourself. There's cucumbers and tomatoes you can just cut and just get something that you are able to eat, palatable, to make your plate look good. But yes, even chocolate I eat, but not to say I eat the whole bar. I will just eat a small piece, because you see their timings just before lunch. Of course, the sugars will not be so high at that time. So those are the times I try to get to eat the things I miss during those times. Like, yeah, just like half a bar of chocolate, and I'll be fine because now my body is no longer used to eating too much sugar. Well, I would tell them diabetes is not a life or a death sentence. It could be, yes, a life. It's not a life imprisonment, but what I can say is you can still live your normal life. It's scary. It will make you feel afraid, and you'll have a lot of anxieties, but they are all normal. It's part of the grieving process. Of course, you're grieving losing your former health, so it's okay to feel all those emotions. But just accept. The earlier you accept and learn the basic self-care, the better for you. The better it will be for you to manage your sugar as well. You will live a long life if God wills or permits. And you can do whatever you want to do. Learn the basic things that work for you in terms of food, in terms of timings, the places you can go. You don't have to fit in everything or in every scenario. It is okay to be different. It is okay to be who you are. It is okay to take time out if you need to eat food. Just learn the basic self-care techniques for yourself. What I would tell them is that for them to take care of themselves, that it's if you have nothing to say, or if you don't know much about something, especially diabetes, it's better not to say than say ignorant comments. Or because you see, I know probably people mean well, but once they start saying funny comments like, "Hi, huyu hata akikula nini na bado hata even after being so careful without eating sugars and all that, you still got diabetes," or mimi hata ningekuwa na diabetes mimi nisingejidunga. You see, we are not given a choice. So what I would say is everybody, because it's an autoimmune disease, and even type 2 is a lifestyle disease. So learn as much as possible about the disease, learn about diabetes, because it can affect anybody. If it's not you, your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, it can affect anybody around you. So it's good to learn the basics and stick to what has been documented, and not about what are they called, herbalists, you know, these people who tell you mambo ya kienyeji, kuboil sijui nini, kuboil moringa. Those ones don't cure diabetes. So apart from other people, but even the diabetics, stick to your insulin. Don't make sure you forgo everything else, but you buy your insulin. Never miss to take your shots.
We are all about the 3 E's.
Evangelize, empower, entertain.